Why is it every time I get a new project car, there's always a donor car following right behind it here rolling off the trailer? I don't know, guys. You tell me, what do you think? Okay, this is going to be a very brief look at Northstar number 2. This should have a good engine, so cross fingers there. This is a 1997 Eldorado. This is a neat car. It's got the soft top on it, which is really actually kind of cool in person, and it's really nicely done. I really actually quite like it on this car, and it's in good shape. But yeah, I got another new battery. That's kind of neat. Let's see what else I get with this car. This one, it looks like instead of having tape over that hole, this one's just open. I still don't get what the deal is with that. The guy said it was sitting for like 3 months or something because he is now having a fuel pump issue. There's no coolant in the oil. It doesn't leak any coolant. And I saw no signs of such. If you need any parts from, if you have an Eldorado and you need parts, some of these parts will be on eBay, so keep a lookout for that. Trunk pops right open. Oh boy, what do we got in here? Coolant jug and a coolant hose. He said he replaced the hoses, so I suppose that makes sense. What is all this? O'Reilly's heater hose. Oh yeah, from jumping the thing. Replaced the steering wheel controls. That's kind of strange. Oh, he replaced a HVAC door. Couple of bolts, whatever that is. Oh, the 12 CD thing is out of there. That makes sense. And I guess a replacement light switch, I think is what that is. Oh, fuel door release. The only thing that sucks about this car is the fuel pump wiring is messed up, so we're currently kind of just jumping that with this wire going direct from the battery to the fuel pump. So that's fine. Gotta plug the other end in. Set that aside. Good running car though.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and unbox the Lime plasti-dipped 87 GT. And by unbox, I mean, this thing is full of parts and various things, and I'm going to see what all it came with, what it included. I did notice right away this thing has these stainless steel braided brake lines on it, which is pretty cool. So I'm happy about that. We already got those in place. As mentioned, we have 3 of each type of wheel. We have 3 GT honeycombs, and we have 3 standard Fiero SE wheels, or sport wheels, or whatever you want to call them, I guess. I don't know. They say Pontiac in the side there. Kind of neat. They're 14-inch wheels though, so they're not really useful by modern standards, but they're there. They work. They got tires in them that hold air, so that's nice. And we got some pretty nice taillights. I mean, they're splotching, but they're not cracked or broken by any means, and not all scratched up. Like, the reflection is really nice, so I'm happy with that. As far as this round trim going around, which I did need a lot of that, it looks like most of it is all there. That piece there is missing. I don't know if that's in here somewhere. I noticed this one right here. It's got a little split right there, so that's kind of iffy. This bumper, it's kind of scratched, but it looks like it's just plasti-dipped. Hasn't even scratched into the primer or not. Can't really tell if this is a dent or not. Don't know on that, but I mean, the body panels themselves look to be in pretty good shape. The only one that's bad is the roof. I think if I can get up here, yeah, the roof has gone down past the paint, so yep, that's no good. I mean, that's fixable. That's, I think, better than what my blue car was when I started working on it, but of course I'll be using all my blue panels, so I'm not worried about that. The only one that I will need to use from this car is, of course, the GT rear piece. The fiberglass here has a crack. It's kind of a little iffy in here. I don't know how bad that is. Have to peel off the plasti-dip and find out, but look into that. All the side skirt pieces, they all look good, which is good because I'm needing those. I already have the front and rear bumpers. But these front and rear bumpers seem to be in good shape as well. This one says GT on it right there, so that's good. Trunk looks good. I'm mostly very happy about these rear quarter windows. They are not broken or cracked that I can tell, so that's nice. Looks like this car had tint put in at some point. Needs redone. It's starting to come off, but I like that it's there. Keeps the inside a little bit nicer. And what else have I noticed about this car? We have a nice, good Fiero GT badge right here. It's in good shape, so I'm pretty happy. Overall, this car's in pretty good shape. It just has no engine or trans in it. Right up front. Oh, I already broke it. Then this bin has been sitting here for a while, apparently. Got a whole bunch of bolts and stuff. Push rods. Never what you want to find. Of course, this has no engine, so that stuff's kind of just not really useful for me. But a bunch of bolts and push rods. Okay. What's in this big box? Bear with me here. Miscellaneous lug nuts. I see that. The container. A lot of these cool green lug nuts. They're really light. This must be aluminum. A little tiny miniature strip or something. I don't know. And paper towels. It's kind of miscellaneous brackets. Okay. The back cover for the gauge cluster. Set that aside. floor mats. They don't say anything on them. I don't know if those are factory or not. And GT seats that are just in mint condition. I love these seats. I wish they were speaker seats, but I do love that they are mint. So I'll have to shut camera off, but I'm going to go ahead and take at least that seat out. I'm pretty sure. Well, this one might be unbolted too. I'm not sure. Find out. Oh, I spoke too soon. Sure enough. I think this is the driver's seat sitting loose here. And yeah, he's torn up on that side, but the bottom is still good. Nothing wrong with the bottom that I can tell, so it's something, I guess. Alright, here we go with more stuff. Hopefully none of these wasps are living. Oh, I've got a window switch. I don't know what this green thing is. Some small trim. It's like a brake pedal cover. Switches, some other random stuff. Add that over to that box. Cruise control diaphragm. Probably won't be needing that. Some washers. Some other very small brackets. Not sure what that's for. An adapter for a single DIN radio. That's kind of neat. Throw that aside. More hardware. I think I'll leave the hardware in here. Not sure what that's for. Up the cover for the GT cluster. That's good stuff. Sun visor. Not from this car, I don't think. The headliner is actually cool. It's like redone in vinyl. I actually quite dig that. I actually dig that a lot. That's way better than the cloth, for sure. This is the Wasp Fiero. The Fiero Stinger. I don't know what. Seatbelt. Seatbelt. Alright. Gauge cover. Seatbelt bolt. Another gauge cover. Oh hey, a free magnet thing with screws already on it. I'm taking that. That's a score right there. That's a... Oh, that's not gonna stick. Yeah, the car's plastic. Hello. I'll just set that there. ECU for assumably a 6-cylinder car. I can sell that. Let's see. And I believe that's for under the steering column. A window scraper. Okay, that's helpful. What is all this stuff? I don't know what that's from. I also don't know about that either. I don't recognize that. Oh, Buick. This came from a 3800 LeSabre. I believe is the steering wheel. It's gonna be like the earlier, like 96 to, I don't know, 2000 type LeSabre. Huh, interesting. I don't really like having airbags around. I'll just blow that up later. Is there anything in this console? Probably wasps. No? Okay, empty. Console's loose. Probably wasps under there. Otherwise, looking good in here. Nothing crazy. Again, there's that Fiero badge right there. And the interior is looking pretty nice so far. Nothing really messed up or torn up or anything. The dash has a couple cracks up top, but not bad at all. Certainly seen worse. Let's go see what else we got. Alright, then we got these two ginormous bins of stuff, which I'm just going to go ahead and put those in the garage and we'll look through them in there where it's cooler. So I guess I'll look in the trunk right now, see what's in there, if anything. Probably more wasps, if I had to guess. Okay, no wasps flying out at me yet. That's good. And you see, no engine at all, no trans. The axles are there, wrapped up. That's kind of nice. You can see where I spray painted some wasps with that purple. It's hard to even know where to start with a project like this. got 3 cars here that all need to become one. And just got this car in and debating on how I want to start. I have my frame stretch ideas and mock-up kind of set up in the red car. And then of course the silver car here has the good engine and trans. And back here I have my extended cradle that's ready to go, other than I think 1 more engine mount to make a total of 3 on the bottom, and then there will be 2 wishbone mounts up top. And yeah, it all needs to go in here. So really I just need to take apart the whole back end of this car, and that's fun. So I'm not sure where I want to start with that. Probably this trunk seal here, because there's not really anything left of it. And you know, I'll get that out eventually, and then got the rest of the body pieces to come off, and then get to start work on setting up this car for a stretch. And there's a few things that I want to do differently than when I did my first time, which is why we have that car. Learn the mistakes and do better on the real thing. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm quite digging this car. I saw these and knew. LEDs. Look at that. Those are awesome. I completely dig that. Well, that one's not LED, but most of them are. I'm actually really happy with that. I'm going to take those out and set them aside from the otherwise nearly mint GT taillight. A little bit of that going on there, but we'll figure out how to fix that. Yeah. Set these aside somewhere. Oh, where can they go? You can sit over here on this chair for now. Got a mess. That one had a giant mod dubber nest. How about this one? Oh, and this one does too, right over there. Tasty. So we can just get that out of there. Gross. And again, we see more LEDs. No bulbs in the Pontiac part, which is interesting. And again, all LEDs except for, is that maybe the reverse light? And that doesn't have anything. So, some LEDs anyway. Here we are in the next phase. I've got everything that I need. Well, I got all the major stuff stripped off the back of the Fiero. Turns out there is some rust in this frame, right in here. A little bit there in the trunk area. This is unfortunately common. And some scaliness, so I don't know if I really like much about this frame, but we'll see what we can do with it. Over on this side, I don't think it wasn't nearly as bad. No, it's actually worse. Hole there, all up in here. It's pretty rough. Nothing down here though, that's good. When this area rusts real bad, this is just some very light stuff. When this area gets real bad, that's when it becomes a real problem. But now I gotta work on prepping to cut this car in half. Try and cut it the same place that I cut on the other car, which is about 1/2 inch after these holes here. They're the same on either side. And I got some more stuff to strip yet from in the engine compartment here. a lot of stuff. Not going to use really any of it, so fun. Okay, now the car is cut in half. And I have 4 frame rails to extend. Here, 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 here. And the Fiero is made of like 18 gauge, it looks like to me. So, like, it's not even 1/8 inch thick, but yeah. I think what we need to do for a frame extension for real this time is we need to sleeve a piece of tubing inside of here that's going to run inside of the frame rail. It'll slide in probably like 4 inches on this side, and it'll go in like 4 inches on the other side, and then we will box around on top of that. So it'll be kind of 2 layers here, because the number 1 rule in framework is to not butt weld frames together. So by adding in that sleeve inside, you're taking the weld, or you're increasing the leverage about 4 inches into the existing frame, or as far as you can go, but I think 4 inches is probably as much as I'm going to be able to do here, because this thing curves down right there, and I'm going to run into the firewall soon, so we'll go as far as we can, but it's only going to be so far. And yeah, this should turn out pretty good. This frame rail up here is not anywhere near as critical as that frame rail. This frame rail is just kind of holding the body panel placements and such, but we will still do the same thing regardless. But anyhow, of course we have all this sheet metal that's sharp that we got to deal with, but we'll get through that. And I'm gonna have to strip the firewall here as far as I can go, and we'll want to clean up and paint this and get it all nice and pretty and ready, clear all that surface rust that's there, and we should have a very nice looking firewall for our Northstar engine to sit there and look at, I guess. Here's a look at the old cradle. Somebody had put on slotted and drilled stock rotors, I guess. Like, these are literally just stock rotors, but they got drilled and slotted versions somehow. So I mean, that's that's not increasing braking performance at all, other than maybe preventing a little bit of brake fade, but not much, because it's still just a solid rotor. It's not vented really. I mean, it's got some ventilation now with these holes in it, but meh at best. So those look cool. Those would make cool wall art or something, I guess, but not really helpful. And it's got the same thing up front, non-vented, just drilled and slotted plain Jane rotors. So making strides. My curiosity has overtaken me at what's under the plasti-dip, and so far, absolute gleamer underneath here. If you don't mind my messy gloves. I mean, a little bit of filth here, but I mean, that's just gonna scrub off with a wash. My goodness. And there's not really any like super crazy damage either, except for the roof. The roof is trash. One, that was me, but that was me only after I found that it was split in half right here. So, and of course this is beyond a paint right up in here. This roof is done, but all the rest of it, it's great. And where did it, not this side, I think I was doing the other side the other day. Yeah, the silver down here, it looks pretty good too. I mean, there's a little gash right there, but I mean, this is fixable. This is savable. I'm curious what the rest of the car looks like. I've got to keep peeling it. But even, you know, if the roof was good, I mean, it's glossy, shiny, clean under there. What will it look like without the mask? Here's all the cracks.
Knew it'd be here around here somewhere. Spiderwebbed like crazy. A little bit of gashing. This is more what I expected, not this up here. Still though, I mean, it still looks very nice under there. Alright, we're in the process now of tearing down the silver 97 Eldorado. Got most of the front stuff out of the way here. Radiator, AC, condenser, headlights, grill, all that good stuff. Battery's gone. I'm starting to pull the electronic side over here. The PCM's free. This fuse box is getting to be free. Mess with linkage, and I got the top motor mounts done. Just top and front at the moment. Once more stuff's out of the way, start creeping my way back and eventually get everything we need disconnected out of here. My idea here is I'm hoping that I can take the whole engine and trans, go up and just out the front and top. Say pulling the engine and trans out the top is possible, but very difficult. You have to do a whole lot of stuff, take off a bunch of accessories. I'm not interested in doing that. But most people have a car they care about, and they would want to lift straight up. And I could see how that could probably cause problems with the frame rails and such, but for this car, which is going to go to scrap anyway, I will just probably cut out as much of this radiator support. Of course, this bumper is about to come off, and I should be able to come kind of more straight out that way, go up a little bit as needed. But hopefully that will let me clear, and if not, cut whatever else. But I'm really not interested in dropping an engine cradle here on a gravel surface, and I also want this car to still roll around, and I'm not interested in dropping the cradle, jacking the car up, moving it back, or dragging the engine out from underneath it, and then getting off the cradle and putting the cradle back in. It just seems like a whole lot of mess. So I'm sure it'll be less mess. It'll be messy, but it'll be less mess to just kind of cut a little bit out of the way and yank it out this way. So see how we do. Finger crossed. All right, so update on the stretching process here. Now that we're doing a legit car, we have to do, got something in my shoe. That's painful. Have to do things a little bit differently. So what I have here is, this was 3x3 tubing from engine crane, and I split it in half and made it shorter so that way it fit in this slot here. I made it down to 1 3/4, and so this is now full welded, 1 3/4 inch wide but 3 inches tall. That's running the inside of the Fiero frame channel, and it runs from about over here to about right there. It's about 22 inches long. I made it that long because I had to add a relief cut right there and this relief cut right here on either end of the factory frame rail to get it to line up straight. So I wanted it to go at least that long on either side, past just a little bit. So it's past about 1.5 to 2 inches on either side of those reliefs. And that takes care of the inner frame rail. I have some spot welds in some places, and of course it's welded all inside. Now I'm getting ready to add the outside plate, which, if you recognize, is the same stuff that we used to do the entirety of the other car when we were just butt welding something. But now we're going to use it again, but this time we're going to use it for this outer shell. And what's great is that it just slips over, and it's like the perfect size. So I'm going to slip that on either side, figure out where I want it, how long I need these pieces to be, and then they can weld on, and then they can be welded together up along the top seam as well.
right now I already have the jack stands removed. This thing's holding on its own. Currently no frame rail here, but it's already pretty sturdy, so we're just going to continue to add more and more reinforcement until this is basically better than factory, because as we can tell, the factory frame rails are pretty thin and lame as they are. So I don't know, that's like 16th inch or what, but it's very, very thin metal. The engine crane material is 1/8 inch, and then this outer stuff is a little thinner. I think it's probably about the same size as the factory. So between the two of them, you're having at least 3/16 plating. So, and both of them are much longer than they stretch. The inner one is more than double what the length of the stretch is, which is about 9.5 inches is the length of the stretch. And yeah, that frame rail's 22 inches. So I think we're going to be covered. So I'm going to keep working on adding these outer frame rails, and once I have them all tied together, then I can move on to these upper rails, and then that will complete our stretch. And then it's back to working on plucking El Northstar, non-cracked to Northstar. So if you guys are needing any Fiero parts or various GM things, this is my eBay right here. I list any parts that I don't use, and I try to list them for a fair amount less than anyone else that I can find the same parts from on eBay. And I'm usually only selling parts that you cannot get at parts stores. So if you're looking for any of those harder to find items, those more obscure items, that's usually what I'm selling, is that stuff that you can't get elsewhere usually, unless you know, have a parts car or something. So let me know, and anyhow, back to the show. Okay, so before this is put together permanently, I'll just show here. This is the plating on this side. On this side, I had to notch just a little bit right there for it to slide that way, far enough where that seam where I had to cut a relief is about right here. So this takes it just a little bit past that, which is good. And then of course there's no relief on this side, but the actual split is somewhere like over here. So this covers this side really well. That's fine. Then however, for this side, I'm going to make a longer piece here because the relief for this side is way over here. But I want this piece to also go ahead and make it all the way over here to this other side, just so that way I can match this piece and continue welding to this piece all the way. So it's going to run probably from somewhere right in here, you know, a little past this relief right here. Run here, it's going to come past, of course, the main on both sides, and then it's also going to come all the way up to the end of this piece. So it's going to be one side is a little longer than the other, but that's what's going to work really well. And this piece really didn't need to go any further because, again, there's just no purpose in that. So and if I had taken it really any further, I would not have been able to reach the welder in there. And so that's really all there is to that. But this nice flat finish, we'll clean it up and get it painted. It'll just kind of look like one solid piece in the end, hopefully. And then similar thing on this side, and there's a good view of our inner rail, two pieces merged together, welded inside, spot welds throughout, and then our outer tube is just going to go over outside, and I'll probably throw some more holes in this larger piece here so that we can add some more spot welds along the way, just because. But already right now it's very, very rigid, so I would be willing to throw the engine in here and let this single frame rails here, just these mid rails, basically support the entire weight of the engine and trans and back of the car, except that I think that those jack stands are either going to go in the ground, or most likely they'll rip through the floor. So not going to do that because of that reason, but I think if there was proper support up here, it would hold it just fine. Alright, it's a new day. This is where we left off yesterday. Got my inner frame rail pieces done, and I'm now starting on the outside. I've got this plate on. I gotta make this. I already got this one cut for the other side, the short plate on that side. Once I get that one on, then we're gonna take our big long guy here, cut that, and probably drill some holes in it for some spot welding here on the inside, and we'll be able to start lining up our inside piece. So that will take us from the red car way back in there, with all of its temporary marking. We will be able to have a, surely there's some words in there somewhere. That will wrap up all of the temporary and mock-up stuff, and that will bring us full circle here to this new car, where we are now doing it permanently, and we will be done with all the permanent frame modification part of this business. Here's a quick view of the process here. This is our outer piece, just like we're doing on the other side. I just kind of get it set up here. Like I said, I had to cut, you see where my line is right there, from that notch over for this piece to slide into the tower here just a little bit. If we look on this side, you can kind of see that more, and there's that relief cut, and there's me being able to go past it a little ways. So I get that, and then I throw down this clamp to make sure that it's flat all the way up through here, because being perfectly square, it's usually got a little bit of a gap there. So this just closes up that gap. And then I think this end was a little bit bent, so I just take my hammer and tap on there until it's really flat like it is. And then the other thing that I do is I painted, before putting this piece on, I painted, my inner frame rail and all this. So you can see my paint here after cleaning it. But I also painted the inside of this, so that way both surfaces that are touching each other, inside and out, should be they're painted with that rust protection paint. So I just want this thing to not rust that much, especially here where this structural change is. So just paint between each layer that I add on both sides, and I think that's going to help a lot, because I'm never going to be able to get to the inside of this stuff ever again. So now's the only time to be able to paint it, and then when I come up here and I'm ready to, make this next weld, I'll just grind off what paint I have to in order to make the weld. So that's what I'm going to do. Going to grind that, weld, and we'll be good. Alright, here we are, finally at the end of adding 6 frame rail stretches in total. We got the 2 down low, which we did a while back. We've got the mid rails, which that took a while. Those are extremely beefy. And I finally got these top rails done, which is just the same 2 3/4, 2 3/4 box tubing. It matches the width up top, just about matches the width here. And then I cut and invert the other side, so that way it matched right in here. It's kind of an L shape. So those are done. That completes this. Now we're ready to, we got our little cart there. Drop this cradle down. We got those new mount bushings to add in, those poly bushings. And then get this engine the rest of the way out. We'll plop it on the cradle that's on the cart, and then I'll probably roll this car back a little bit with the jack, and we'll then be able to roll that under the car and lower the car onto its new engine, hopefully for the last time, until we come back to rebuild the engine later on. Okay, so after battling with the old tractor here for a while, we finally got our new hydraulic system set up. I'm gonna come over to this side, be a little easier to see. We're still using the same factory pump,
Used to have this block on it with this hard line, went to a hose and then went hard line back to the stock setup there. This hose right here, this pressure line on the bottom, is what blew apart. Took this block off, tapped and threaded the back of the pump here for 1/2-inch MPT hoses. The top one is our suction, which is coming from the bottom of this 11-gallon portable air tank, which I thought was a 5-gallon, but it actually is 11-gallon, so it's way too big for this, but it's working. I just have it about halfway full. So that getting slurped up to the tank, or to the pump, sorry, and then pump is pressurizing, coming up over to here, where we have a whole bunch of connection because we have a static hose that is going into a straight swivel that is going into a 1/2-inch MPT female to 1/2-inch MPT female, which is going to a adapter fitting here to adapt from American MPT to British pipe thread, which is what this control valve uses, is British pipe thread. So it's 1/2-inch British pipe thread on either side. Got the same business going on here. It's crazy. It's like 6 inches of connections there to make this work. And then on our control valve here, we have kind of the same thing going on. We have a little extension added in here and some 90 swivels here, and then we have straight swivels attached to the 90 swivels, so that way these can go in whatever orientation you want. I have them all symmetrically at a little bit of an angle here. This original one has this stupid pipe on here, which I hate, but I cannot get this 90-degree thing undone. It's on there so freaking impossibly tight. I don't feel like taking it to the vise, so I just hooked it up. So for now, this is our only functional lever, but it is set up and ready to accept more hydraulic cylinders as needed, which I can immediately add 3 more basically for all these other levers. So that's good. And then once it leaves the return from the control valve, whoop, runs along here, goes to double filters, and then it goes back into the tank. The tank has a bung welded on here. Just this lets it breathe. Take this off to add fluid. Simple as that. So simple setup, but it's got it working, and this time it no longer leaks and falls to the ground after about 1 minute. So that is good. So gonna hook this up to this engine right now. This engine should be 100% free now, and hopefully I can get it yanked out of here. So we'll see how that works. Alright, we're starting to lift, but it looks like alternator is going to be our biggest hiccup here because it's stuck under this little bit here, and it doesn't really want to go back. And because of how large the transmission case is here, there's really no room to work with on this side either. It's kind of at a weird angle right now. I think I got everything disconnected except for this connection here to the firewall right here. Makes a little vacuum connection, which I think I just undid. But this wiring harness for the HVAC stuff all runs right in there. And I don't think I'm going to need that, but I'm going to disconnect it properly just because. And somebody had a fun time repairing hoses really stupidly in this thing with about 50 hose clamps and a bunch of T's. So that's kind of interesting. But overall, we're looking good so far. So far so good. We are going to continue rocking and rolling. Just trying to think on how to take care of that situation. I think I'll start with taking care of that wiring, and then maybe if I can just figure out what's preventing me from swinging this thing. Looks like the exhaust is clearing pretty good. I feel like I should be able to turn this thing and get it to whoop, 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 come out that way. But it doesn't seem like it wants to move that way. So I don't know. I might just need to hack this area out. We'll see. Alright, it's another day here in the Honda Garage workshop. or outside, I suppose. Got our Northstar here. We're installing our engine mounts. We got 2 out of 3 that were already made on the test subject Fiero earlier. So those 2 are pretty much handled. I've got to find some bolts for one of them. But then we just need to fabricate one more, and then we can install it in the car. And we'll kind of be temporary installing it because we'll have to pull it back out for the rebone and stuff. But I need to move this car, and in order to move it, I would like it needs its wheels and suspension and control arms and such, so it kind of needs the cradle back in, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw the engine in there as well, because we want to get it running and moving a little bit before we take it to that next level. We want to see what it does, see how it is, make sure it's all running good and all that before we start messing around with it too much. So we're going to put it in as is. And we have the Nissan hardbody project coming up, so we'll have that engine swap to do, and then we'll have to come back and get back to this. But at least for now, we will have it in the car, ready to go for next time. So yeah, we got a big list to do in order to get there. I don't think axles are going to happen in time, so won't have any axles yet, but I will have all 4 axles that we need to modify and make the real axles, so everything will be ready. Just won't get to that this time, but at least the car will have the engine and it will be able to roll around again. Instead of being half a car, it will at least be a whole car again. So let's get to it. So as from last time, we have our ouch, that's a little piece of metal. So as from last time, we have here in the back of the engine here on the passenger side, we've got our temporary hockey puck spacer installation there, sitting on our little bracket there. He's got a little gusset in them and whatnot, and 2 bolts holding that one on to this bracket, which holds onto both the trans and the cylinder head up here, so that's a pretty good mount. And then we have the one up front, which I'll show in a moment, but then we have what will be one over here. We've got these 3, or really 4 if we use this one, bolt holes to work with, so I'd like to make a bracket that attaches to those, and then we'll just attach that bracket right in here somewhere. Not sure exactly where yet, but we'll find a spot that isn't in the way of anything, and that's our last bracket that we need to make. Now let's go around to the front. And in the front, this is a little different from other Northstar installations that I've seen, but I've got this really thick 5/16 angle bracket here that the original rubber mount from the Cadillac just bolts onto, and then he bolts into the cross member. And like mentioned before, this thing is box framed on the bottom, and it's got some pieces inside to keep it from just squeezing when we tighten these bolts down. And being how thick a steel is, that there's no way that that'll bend, so that'll be a pretty solid mount. Aside from, of course, it is rubber, so I'll let the engine move a little bit. I have rubber on all my mounts here. I've seen some people solid mount these in, and I mean, I guess they are pretty smooth engines, but I'm trying to make this really comfortable cruiser car, so we're trying to get it to be as smooth and as little engine feeling as possible, especially since it's right behind you. So that's my goal, but we'll see how that goes. It's not really a big deal, but also this is a lot easier, so all about making it easy around here. So yep, gotta find the 2 long bolts for these holes, and then move on to fabricating that bracket over on the other side. Alright, here's our rough end final for now engine mount, our 3rd mount here. I took this
dog bone engine mount from the original V6. Cut it in half and welded it onto the frame there, and then put this shield around, and that's what's going to bolt onto that, so that way it's got that poly bushing in there for this mount. And then I got a piece of Cadillac bracket and use that. Right now it's just got a random nut as a spacer, but this will work for now. I'm not really going to bother cleaning, painting, or doing any of that, because we'll do that later when we take it apart. It's not even really fully welded. I only have this welded halfway around. Maybe you can, I guess not, see that the back half isn't welded, because of course I can't get to it. So next time this, when this engine comes out, we'll finish that off and whatnot. The car's not driving, so that doesn't matter. All we want to do is put it in the car, so that way I can move it out of the way for the other project for now, and then hopefully get the engine to run in here, and then once it runs, then we can take it apart and deal with it. But this is looking great. I'm happy with this. Turned out better than I thought. Originally I didn't even know if I was going to have a bushing, but then came up with that idea, so that'll all be good. Throw the nut on there so that bolt doesn't fall out, and we're good. So that takes care of that. Now it's time to actually start putting the engine in the car and figuring out where things are gonna go a little bit. And I gotta find all the proper bolts, just so that way they're at least in there in the right spot. But yeah, and then we'll have control arms to put in and stuff. So yep, let's keep on moving along. That's our 3 mounts, 2 in back, 1 in front. There will be 5 in total, because we're going to reuse the front wishbones and put them where the old deck brackets used to be. So got our work cut out for sure. This is the wrong way, the right way, or the only way. You got to get a car up probably even a little bit higher yet to get your 32 valve Northstar in a Fiero. The car's got to be really high. So I have my tall jack here with a cinder block lifting it up, and cinder blocks are not meant to lift stuff up. They're sketchy, they'll break in half. But this car is really small and it's stripped, so I think it'll be okay to temporarily do that. I've got it just high enough so I can almost fit my 6 tons to the mounting, or the mounting point, lift point, or jack point, some sort of point, probably. But yeah, so I'll lift it just a little bit more, scoot those back in just a little bit more, and I should be able to get rid of the jack. And if I can roll this thing over here and push it in from the back, since there's no trunk here anymore, I might have a chance. We'll see. We'll see.
Bam! Finally put together and running. No, not really, but it is mostly put together. Now, it's only been like a month, but I keep failing to record this last scene, so that's cool. I've had a lot of other projects going on, so that's okay. But anyways, let's see where it's at. Flip this camera. Open up, very heavy
deck lid with no struts or anything, but Northstar is installed. Now, if I can prop this up here to some extent, there we go. Let's see. There's our frame rails going on, and we can see how much room there is between the firewall and the engine there. Plenty of room to work with. And then this side would be the same as a regular installation, but it fits in there. Down below, we can see our half done mount back here, and that mount right there. Big bracket right here, this black bracket. Got these new red poly bushings on the back here, and then we got these old parts installed here. This bushing on those rods are junk, brakes are junk, all that's junk, but it's on there so the car can roll around. The next step is axles. As you might see, these are cut and cut, but I do have the axle situation figured out, so that's a plus. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. I had a flat piece of sheet metal in here and welded that in a few spots and then filled it with some panel bond. So I still retain a trunk. I just don't have that big dive down in the middle, which, though is extra storage, was a little bit annoying at times. But yeah, I have that for now. Still some rust to fix in some spots here in the trunk. I've cut out some spots. Some work to do yet, but that's where that's at. Anyhow, moving on. One thing I need to do is I decided I will add, I think, one more mount on the bottom for this engine. And that's because AC compressor here, as you can see, ended up sitting on the frame rail. I knew it was really close clearance, but with it being able to kind of move a little bit on that rubber mount, it's just going to keep hitting this even if I space it up a little bit. So if I add a mount on that side that kind of keeps it held down on that side, it will keep this side raised up a little bit to keep that belt from hitting right there. So that's what I have for that. I did pull the gas tank out. Gas tank is nice, so I just gotta figure out the fuel pump situation. And then inside, the door's kind of stuck. Let's open the passenger door. I think it's easier. There we go. We've got the inside. Got it pretty cleared out. Put down some matting down here. What I had left over. Need some more. But all this floor I cleaned and repainted. This side I'm yet to do the same. So got some work to do on that side still. But I got this side just about done. Pretty soon I'll be having to pull the dash and all that stuff. Headliner's out. It doesn't seem to leak really, so sunroof I guess has a good seal. So that's good stuff. And you can see the wheel opening difference there, how much further the wheel is set back. Let's see if we can get a wider view here. Maybe the square view. Give you an idea of the wheelbase there. But yeah, this is turning out great so far. So a lot of work to do. It's a lot colder now, but I'll get back to it as soon as I can. And yeah, that's where that's at. And let's go take a look at these axles real quick. And here, of course, is all the wiring for the Northstar and other various parts from the Cadillac. Up here, this is what we have going on here. So this is the axle shafts out of the Cadillac, and this is the hub from a manual transmission Fiero. And it, as it turns out, it's hard for me to believe, but I'll throw this forum post from like 2003 or 4 or something like that. Somebody done this, you know, once before, and apparently these just fit right on. And to my surprise, they actually do. There's, let's see if I can get a view here. There's like this spider inside, and then this round part here on the inside, that's the cage. And there's these giant ball bearings that fit between the spider and the cage and allow it to roll around. Now the spider is what has splines on it, and it needs to slip onto the end of the axle. Just like you can see the splines on here, it's the same on this end. And it's the same count and the same size and same everything, so it just fits right on. And so this whole then outer end can fit on. So this is going to slip on the Fiero wheel hub, go through it, turn the wheels. And then this side is going to have the factory Cadillac tripod stuff, which the tripod is these parts in here where it's like this triangular thing here, and there's these squares, and then you got a big old piece that goes over it that slides in the trans. So this will fit the Cadillac trans, but it will also fit on the outside end for the Fiero. Now the only thing I have left to do is shorten these axles. They're just a little bit on the long side because the Cadillac has a wider track width, which is the how far apart the wheels are from each other. It's like, I think, 1.5 inches total. So we're taking 3/8 off each end of the axle on both axles. So 4 3/8 make 1.5 inches. So that's what we're doing. I just haven't got them. Gotta take this axle back out of this, clean it, and take apart the other axle, which I haven't done yet. Get the 2 shafts, clean them up, and take them down to machine shop to get them shortened. So there's that to do, but that's all for the next phase, I suppose. For now, this is where we're at. Yep, and sneaky peek at Matt's Nissan engine. Looking pretty nice. Blue, white, black. Will say myself, these blue valve covers, or cam covers in this case, turned out absolutely fabulous. So getting excited. Hopefully this will go in his truck next year, and we can actually see that truck move for the first time ever on video anyway. So that's neat. But yeah, that's going to put a wrap on this video. I will see you on the next episode.